In this session we'll go back. Is it working?
Is it on?
It's on.
Very touchy. Okay. Oop. Yeah, it's working. In this session, we'll go back, of course, to the Shamatha practice of resting in awareness. Before we do that, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the practice, and to do that, I'll read a bit more from Attention Revolution from Alan Wallace. This is on page 133. And he says the following: after you settle your body and mind in their natural states, you can simply be aware of being aware. You don't need to be in a sensory deprivation tank, and your mind doesn't have to be totally silenced. You can know with immediate certainty that consciousness is present, and with no other object of awareness, you can cultivate attentional stability and clarity of that awareness. Let's see how Padmasambhava describes this subtlest way of achieving shamatha. So again, now he's quoting from a text from Padmasambhava, who says, while steadily gazing in the space in front of you, without meditating on anything, steadily concentrate your consciousness without wavering. Increase the stability of attention and then relax again. So here he's doing this balancing of sharpening and relaxing to overcome the two imbalances of dullness and distraction. And then he says, occasionally seek out, what is that consciousness that is concentrating? Steadily concentrate again, and then check it out again. Do that in an alternating fashion. Even if there are problems with laxity and lethargy, that will dispel them. So what he's suggesting here, and we're going to introduce this a little bit into this practice, is actually ask a question. And that question, of course, is a Vipassana question. So what he's suggesting is that by asking a question to investigate, that will help us to sharpen our focus. Because if we're dull and we have to investigate, we will sharpen the mind. So by asking a question, which actually is Vipassana, it can be a way to help overcome dullness, laxity and lethargy, he says. He says if there are problems of laxity and lethargy, that will dispel them. Then he says, cast your gaze downwards, gently release your mind, and without having anything on which to meditate, gently release both your body and mind into the natural state. So here again he's talking now about if there's any agitation, tension or distraction, is lower your gaze and release your awareness and relax completely. He says, having nothing on which to meditate and without any modification or adulteration, rest your attention simply without wavering in its own natural state, just as it is. Remain in that state of luminosity, and he's using the word luminosity to mean clarity. So keep that clear mind, and rest your mind so that it is loose and free. So meaning relaxed and alert at the same time. Then he says, alternate between observing that which is concentrating inwardly and that which is releasing. If you think it is the mind, ask, who is it that releases the mind and concentrates the mind? Steadily observe yourself, then release again. By so doing, fine stability will arise, and you may even identify pristine awareness. So again, he's talking about balancing between being dull, and here he's using the technique of asking a question to sharpen the mind, and then to overcome agitation and distraction, again, just to release to lower the gaze, release your awareness, and relax completely. And then he says, If you become muddled and unmindful, you have slipped into laxity or dimness. So clear up this problem, arouse your awareness and shift your gaze. So again, if you're falling into dullness, arouse your awareness, sharpen your awareness and raise your gaze, elevate. If you become distracted and excited, it is important that you lower your gaze and release your awareness. If samadhi arises in which there is nothing of which you can say, this is meditation, this is conceptualization, you are slipping into a stupor, so dullness. So meditate with alternating concentration and release, and recognize who is meditating. In so doing, recognize the flaws of shamatha and eliminate them right away. So in this practice now, we're going to do as we've done before in terms of balancing, meaning that if you find any agitation, tension or distraction, lower the gaze, release the awareness, relax completely. And if you find yourself dull, sleepy or just blank, elevate the gaze and sharpen your focus. So they're how to balance. But also what we're going to do in this practice is, as Padmasambhava was recommending, is to introduce a little bit of questioning. Of course, this is Vipassana practice, but here he's introducing this for the purpose of sharpening the mind. Because if we have to investigate, we have to sharpen the mind. So it's a way of sharpening the mind. And he said that'll clear up dullness, but he also said you may even identify pristine awareness. Pristine awareness is another name for the nature of the mind. So you may actually come to an insight into the nature of the mind. So we're going to bring that in a little bit in this practice. When I ask a question, of course, we are using that question to investigate, to look. So don't try to intellectually answer the question. That's not Vipassana. That's just accepting our belief system. So when the question comes, just look. And we'll do it for a short time to sharpen the mind, and then we'll just rest again. So we'll do like earlier, we'll do 2 15-minute sessions with a little 2-minute break in the middle, and then after that, time for questions about this practice. Sure.
What happens if we are kidnapped? Which is the usual thing.
Yeah. So again, if you're kidnapped, then you can lower your gaze if you're agitated. Otherwise, just release and relax. Same as normal. Just release and relax. And what you can do if you want, which we introduced earlier, is if you're constantly getting kidnapped, go back into the body, into the breath, anchor yourself, ground yourself in the breath, and then on the rhythm or one of the other variations if you want, and then use that as your main object, and then a little bit in the corner of your mind, just notice awareness. That way you won't get kidnapped so easily, hopefully. Okay.
I get stuck because I'm not sure what being aware is.
Do you know you're aware now?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I really am.
Yeah. Again, that's the difficulty with this, because it's so simple. That's why people find it difficult. It's so simple. It's just knowing that you're aware. We're not trying to find something called awareness. We're just knowing that we're aware. That's it. Nothing more than that. Often people go, well, where is this awareness I'm supposed to be resting in? That's not the practice.
But I can't tell that I'm aware now.
You can't?
No,
You're not alive? You're not conscious?
I am.
Well, then you know you're aware.
That's enough.
Yeah. If you don't know you're aware, you're either asleep or completely blanked out, lost. Then you don't know you're aware. Otherwise, you know you're aware.
So it's a kind of knowing that I'm
Conscious.
That I exist, like conscious.
That you're conscious, that's it. That's the practice.
So why it's hard?
Because we're not used to it. Okay, we'll leave the questions till after the meditation. Otherwise, will be lots of questions. So let's do the practice and then time for some questions. Preparing the body, setting it into a state of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. Allowing the breathing to settle into its natural rhythm. And setting the mind in a state of ease and relaxation. Allowing the mind to come to rest in the present moment. And simply noticing the rhythm of the breath. the eyes at least partially open, resting your gaze in the space in front of you. Then simply release all appearances and allow the mind to come to rest, not doing anything at all, simply being present, knowing that you're aware. Knowing that you're conscious. If you find yourself caught up in any agitation, tension or distraction, release your awareness into space, releasing all appearances, relaxing completely, lowering the gaze. Or if you're falling into dullness or simply having a blank mind, elevate your gaze, sharpening your focus, knowing that you're aware, knowing that you're conscious. resting in awareness itself. Who is it that is resting in awareness? Who is the agent? Don't try to intellectually answer that, just look. Now release the questioning, and again just rest, knowing that you're aware. And again, finding that nice, comfortable posture. Breathing flowing naturally. And bringing the mind into the present moment. Becoming aware of the rhythm of the breath. Resting your gaze in the space in front of you. And allowing the mind to come to rest. Not doing anything at all. Simply knowing that you're aware.